What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, GALA Games is up about 170% over the last week or two, and many of you are starting to ask me, Tyler, what in the world is going on over there? What is going on with the price? Why did the price jump so much, and what can we expect next? So I'm not going to waste any more time at all, and I'm going to let you know exactly what I'm seeing and why this happened to begin with. So, looking at GALA Games, we can see that its price is up quite substantially over the last few weeks, right? We can see this thing is now up from bottom to top roughly 160 to 170%. Now, why in the world did this even happen? Why did this thing just go straight up in the middle of a bear market? Well, we can see here that after the developers revealed a significant partnership with The Rock and a change in its business model, GALA price has made a stunning comeback. It says here that there's just a little bit of information regarding our ongoing work with The Rock and Mark Wahlberg, but GALA is the gas token in Go GALA Films and Go GALA Music as well. We can go a little bit further and see that the price of this token increased after the developers revealed a new pivot. Two movies are currently being developed by the producers with the actors The Rock and Mark Wahlberg, two of the biggest names in the entertainment business. Purchasers of the movie tickets will be able to scan a QR code to win digital prizes according to a statement from the app developers. The developers' recent shift towards mobile is another factor for driving up the price of GALA. Users will be able to easily download and play its games, and as they do so, they will earn GALA tokens. So, as you can see here, not only are they bringing in some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry, but they're also pivoting their framework and their business model over to something that is a little bit more real, right? And a little bit more in person. And I think because of this, it's going to allow people to start to understand GALA just a bit better and increase its utility as a whole. Now, as a result of this, again, we can see that its price is up like crazy. Now, what can we expect next? Where does this thing go from here? Well, personally speaking, okay, you guys know that I'm not, going to look at this and not be a realist about it. Realistically, we are still down substantially. Right? Everyone's saying this is the beginning of a new push to a new all-time high. Well, we need to look at this and understand we're still down 95% from the all-time high. The high was looking like somewhere around, 90 something cents. We're currently sitting at 4 cents. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but progress is progress, and I'm not going to pretend it's not. So what happens now? Well, personally speaking, I am starting to get a little bit, weird or cautious about what is happening with GALA. Now, typically speaking, whenever we are in a bear market, we're going to see bear market rallies. And until we can start to consecutively see higher highs and higher lows, that's all these things are. So from GALA right now, the first step for me is that I need to see it actually set a macro higher high, which it's not been able to do yet. Currently speaking, we're looking at a higher high needing to come in above 5 cents. If we get above 5 cents, that puts us in a position in which we can say, okay, maybe we are in a great spot right now. Because realistically, we've had these little mini rallies over and over and over again, but we've not been able to do anything substantial. We've not been able to set any macro higher high since we were at an all-time high. And because of that, the price has continuously trended downwards. So what I don't want to see right now is that all of this good news is just a temporary pump that does lead us all the way back towards the downside. No, I want to see that we're capable of breaking this high, whether it's now or whether it's us pulling back and then breaking it, and being in a position in which we can finally see the trajectory of this overall macro trend start to point upwards. Now, in terms of if we're going to be able to set a new high right now, are we going to be able to get back above 5 cents? Well, if we look at it percentage-wise, it's only a move of, maybe about 25% or so, and we're already up over a couple 100%, so it is possible, but I do want to issue out a couple warnings here. Warning number one is that we are running into a macro layer of resistance as we speak. This 44 to 49 level is going to serve as resistance. It's simply just that we set a double bottom on it back here. We ran into it as resistance here, which did force us all the way down. This is where we saw support at before we saw this big bounce back here. I mean, this is the level that is likely going to run us back towards, maybe even as low as the 35 to 40-ish levels right here, okay? Now, not only is it a massive level of liquidity, but we also can see that our hourlies are starting to trend in a way which says that we might get a pullback soon, okay? The reason I say that is because on the hourly RSI, we are getting this lower highs, but on the price, we are getting higher highs. That is bearish divergence, and when you have bearish divergence after reaching the 90s on the RSI, the likelihood of a pullback becomes extremely, extremely, extremely high. Not only that though, if we look at something like the 4-hour charts and we go to our Bollinger Bands, we are extremely extended into the top side of our Bollinger Bands. And typically speaking, when this happens, we do get pullbacks to the downside, as you can see here, every single time that we touched it, we got a pullback and a pullback and a pullback and a pullback. It almost always happens. Now, typically speaking, this pullback will happen towards the 20 SMA. Currently, our 20 SMA is sitting around 27. I think it wouldn't meet it there. I think it would probably trend a little bit higher before then, and maybe we would get some type of interaction around, this 32 to 35-ish level before we decide if we're going to hold and continue, or if this is going to be the beginning of a more macro pull to the downside. Now, one thing we also need to pay attention to is just key structure, which is always incredibly important. And what you can see is that on the hourly charts, we are getting something called overlap. Now, overlap is a key identifier that a pullback is likely going to happen soon. You can see here, right? Whenever we were getting this strong move to the upside, none of our lows and our highs were really overlapping each other, right? But the moments when we start to see this happening, where we see a high and a low, and then we put in this high and this low within this high and this low, and it's kind of like a little bit of overlap there, it's just starting to show that the weakness is starting to kick in, the bull strength is starting to wear off, and that is typically a sign that a pullback is likely going to happen relatively soon. If we were going off of basic macro structure of this, I would say that a pullback would happen towards the 618 to 786 level, which is currently sitting between 26 and 29, which also does make sense because that is roughly around where we put in this previous high to show that we may have to come back, see this level hold, and then see a continuation back to the top side. Now, what would be interesting is that if we do get this move of this nature, that would put us in some type of position, if I do zoom back out to the dailies, to see some type of inverse head and shoulders forming, right? If I kind of zoom that out a bit, you can see that we could have put in a left shoulder here, then the head, and that could put us in position to see right shoulder before seeing continuation, which would have a huge breakout target to an even further extension, maybe even up another 200 to 300%. But overall, none of that happens whatsoever until we're capable of clearing that 5-cent level. So at this point, I would start to become aware that a pullback is becoming much more likely. You look at something like the daily RSI, for example, we are overextended and momentum is slowing down. Although the price isn't reflecting it yet per se, you can start to see that little angle off happening, and that's usually when this daily divergence starts to happen. And so even if we do trend up a little bit, usually that is followed by a little bit of a pullback towards the downside to retrace some of this move to the upside. So overall, although I do believe this will be fantastic for GALA, I think that this is all going to be great for it in the long term, we can't ignore the reality of the short term. And the short term says that the likelihood of a pullback relatively soon is very likely. The higher we go, the more likely it becomes. And so personally speaking, I wouldn't be doing anything substantial in terms of purchases until we are at least able to break 5 cents and hold 5 cents. But I still, even at that point, if it happens like this, I would still be waiting for a greater pullback, something of this nature, before getting a little bit too ahead of myself, because this is going to happen soon, and our charts are showing that it's going to happen really soon, okay? I would give it maybe about another week at least, okay? So with that said, I do believe that we are going to see some type of short-term retracement. In that short-term retracement, a pullback of, 15 to 20% wouldn't surprise me, somewhere back down towards this 35 to 30 level. And if that does happen, that could be a fantastic time to buy, as realistically, if we are trending back upwards now, we still may be in the first wave of 5 possible waves, and so that could have implications of a continuation to the top side, and purchasing somewhere in here wouldn't be a terrible idea. Now, of course, this is not financial advice. It is simply just my opinion on how this is going and what I'm probably going to do. So make sure you do watch some other videos, see what other people are saying, but this is at least my opinion, and I hope you guys do enjoy it. But with that said, that's going to be about it for today's GALA update. Look for a retracement in the short term and be watching that 5-cent level. It is probably going to make all of the difference for what the price does over the next few weeks. But with that said, that's going to be about it. Of course, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you all next time. Peace.